Hi, I'm Deborah,
And I'm Lawrence.
and in this video, we're going to talk about achievable New Year's resolutions for people with depression and actually pretty much anyone. Um, I
True.
personally think New Year's resolutions are kind of a silly idea because,
I just think they suck in general.
I mean, like, why have an artificial date that you're supposed to start? But it actually goes back to the idea of New Year's resolutions, literally goes back thousands of years, apparently, where people were pledging that they would, clear the debts they owed and stuff like that. And it had a more religious significance. Nowadays, mainly, it's generated by all the commercials you see for, gosh, what do you see? Besides fitness, everything to do with fitness, fitness clubs, fitness machines, every possible kind of diet you can imagine. So that's kind of what plays on our being inspired to
being insecure about ourselves.
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, that's what all the ads, work on is if you're not, trying to improve yourself in some way, then you're a loser. But it's not a bad idea to make resolutions that are, as I said, achievable. The thing to bear in mind is that, especially someone with depression, we're still recovering from the flu. People with depression are very hard on themselves. So,
as we know from personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, your brain and the depression is what's actually doing it, is telling you you're a loser and, you're fat.
I know I am.
But it's your brain is saying that. And even if you didn't come from...
Aren't humans technically just their brains in a suit of, like, bones and meat? Anyways, but yes, it's your brain telling you these things.
Yeah, it's the depression telling you really negative things. So the problem is, if you set these really high goals for yourself and you don't succeed, which if you set really difficult to achieve goals and, resolutions, and you can't achieve them, then you're probably going to be even more down on yourself than you would have been before you made the resolutions.
Thanks for interrupting me, by the way. No, you said everything I was going to say.
Okay. So they did a study and showed that in January, you have tons of people who are at the gym, or using
Obviously.
their exercise equipment and everything. And then
they stop.
Literally starts dropping off the third week in January. So it's really important, so people are like, oh, I'm going to lose 50 pounds this year, and then they get started on it and they realize
it sucks.
not easy, so, I mean, I lost 40 pounds, but it took me like 3 years. So, anyway, it's important to just bear in mind that it's better off to start with baby steps. So set yourself some goals that, or, make some resolutions that are achievable or at a level that are achievable. So the first one is get more exercise. Exercise is very good for you, especially as someone with depression. It's been shown to improve your mood when you have depression. But, instead of saying, I'm going to start jogging a mile a day, or, I'm going to start doing aerobics 45 minutes a day, or, something where you're, if you haven't been doing it, especially going from like 0 to, this really...
that reminds me, I need new running shoes.
Yes, we'll get those.
I need to do it. I'm trying to get better shape.
And then you got the flu.
Can I finish?
Yeah, and then you got the flu. Go ahead.
Well, first it was, I messed up something in my leg, and I stopped for a while, and then I kind of just didn't get back into it, and then I got back into it for just a little bit, and then I have the flu, and I already have breathing issues, so, yeah, it's going to make it even worse.
Yeah.
But when I get unsick, I'm going to start running so I can stop being fat.
Yeah, I think
which I'm very insensitive
you literally
about personally.
ran like the day or so before. I think you literally actually ran the first day we were really sick, remember?
Be conscious of your own limits. Don't try to run like 4 miles the first day. Gradually build up. I didn't do that. So that sucked, trust me.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying get more exercise. So go out and take walks. Take the stairs more often. Just start building up slowly. Just start working it into your life in small ways. Getting out especially is really good if you have depression and you're really cocooning at home. So getting out of your house or apartment or whatever and taking a walk, even just for 20 minutes, is a big help. It's a change of scene. It's exercise. So just a little bit can really go a long way. The second thing is kind of along those lines is try to start eating better. So in other words, don't say, oh, I'm going to cut out all sugar, fat, I'm going to only eat, I'm going to go on the keto diet. I'm going to only eat, high fiber foods and lean proteins, so don't go overboard because that's a kind of a recipe for failure. So
you're going to fail.
You're going to fail. It's really, the thing is you can change habits.
A good idea, and probably something I should do, is if you throughout the day constantly eat like small amounts of food, like snacking, like a small thing of chips, or I don't know, whatever you do, if you are eating small amounts during the day constantly, try to cut that out unless you're like really hungry and you didn't have time to eat breakfast or lunch.
Well, and that's one thing to change then.
Yeah. Also,
eat a good breakfast. Breakfast is important, and especially one that has a lot of fiber because then that keeps you full.
And that's one thing to do is watch out for just constantly snacking throughout the day. Another thing is portion sizes. If you find you're eating like a full huge plate of stuff, maybe if you're eating, I don't know, like a whole.
Just eat part of it.
Yeah, I was trying to find a way to say that and like give actual
just
real world
eat part
examples.
of it.
If you're having a hot dog, cut that hot dog in half.
Remember,
and save the other half for your next meal.
Yeah, it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that it's full. So you want to eat slowly. And let me kind of add something in. There's nothing wrong with eating in a grazing way. So having multiple small meals, as long as it's planned.
Yeah.
Not just like snacking. Like, for instance, I eat when I'm bored. So, for instance, the most important thing I found, like I said, I lost 40 pounds over 3 years. And there were 2 ways I did it. One is tracking what I ate. And that's also good for making sure you're getting the right nutrients. So there are a couple apps. There's one called My Fitness. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget the name of it. I'll put links to them below. But one I'm using now is called Lose It.
Sorry, excuse me.
My Fitness. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, but the good thing is that it helps you track things. You can track like fiber, salt, sugar, all that stuff. And the other thing is to educate yourself. So, for instance, by reading, for instance, these books are a little old by now, but they're
very
really
much
good.
so. You haven't gotten the new ones. I kind of want to see the new ones.
I don't know if he's updated them.
Really?
Yeah, he got onto another book that I'm actually going to talk about a little called The Zero Sugar Diet. These books, Eat This, Not That, Drink This, Not That, they're really good because...
and then there's one big one that combines the two. Consume This, Not That.
Oh,
well,
really?
No, it was a
joke.
joke.
Oh, okay. Basically, so like this one...
giant almanac.
This one, for instance, is like when you go out to a restaurant, what have the highest calories and... just junking them, and what are good alternatives. There's another one, Drink This, Not That. That's obviously all about drinks, not only drinks in restaurants like Starbucks and stuff, but also drinks in the supermarket. Then there's another one that's geared specifically toward. There's one called Cook This, Not That, and then there's another one that's geared specifically toward what you buy in the supermarket. So what's really helpful to eating better is just having the information, and that's, for instance, why I brought up the zero sugar diet. I read this book about two years ago, and so I decided to go on it, not necessarily to lose weight, but because I knew I was just consuming too much sugar. I've always been like, I have such a sweet tooth. So I went on a very, very strict version, and it was really interesting because literally after a couple of weeks, my craving for sugar was way down. And then I also found out, just because I happened to go to the doctor, that my blood pressure was way down. So, and
mine is probably like way too high.
Well, it made a huge difference apparently. So at least for me, sugar was making my blood pressure go up. But the other thing is there's a new theory, it's been around for a little while, but that sugar is one of those things that can cause inflammation, and inflammation might be a factor in depression. So it's one of those things that it's worth trying, you know. So you may not want to go on and just like cut all sugar out, because that's not just sugar, it's also any white bread. It's really a lot of things that are processed. But you might be surprised to see how much you are, I hesitate to use the word addicted, how much your body is addicted to sweets and sugar, and how many things, like for instance, I used to think Jamba Juice smoothies were healthful. Well, you look and the amount of sugar is just insane. They have as much sugar as like a Frappuccino at Starbucks. Okay, so again, that's why I was saying it's the information is really important to have. Then you can make your decision. Okay, I know that this has tons of sugar in it, but I'm still going to have it. Great, but at least you know what you're doing then, right?
You done?
Yes, I'm done.
My lord. Anyways, to cover this briefly, I know we got a bit sidetracked, but this book, for example, has West Coasters. In and Out is listed here, so that's pretty helpful for us. So you shouldn't eat the cheeseburger. It has 875 calories, or cheeseburger with onions and fries has 875 calories, and instead you should eat just a plain old cheeseburger, which has only 480 calories. So yeah, this is the kind of stuff you can find in this book.
You eat half of the meal one day and save the rest for the next day.
You can also do that, which is also a good thing to do regardless of what you buy.
But just so you know, so you don't think, oh, I'm going to eat the whole thing.
I do that, and I really shouldn't.
Yeah, and then a lot of times, like, I do too, and I'll be like, wow, I shouldn't have eaten all of that.
Yeah, because then I need to have something different
could have eaten like
food
2/3.
Tomorrow.
But, so basically, start thinking about eating more fiber, so that would be just substitute. Instead of having a sandwich with white bread, have a sandwich with whole grain bread.
White bread is actually really good.
I know white bread is good.
You guys get the horrible kind of whole grain bread.
Try having brown rice instead of white rice. So there are just some substitutions you can make that are just going to make things a little better.
So for the third one, and third and final, is one I personally am leading because this is something I need to do, very much so. Is if you can, try to interact with your friends more, especially if not friends, just try to be out there more. Maybe if you spend a lot of time inside, maybe just take a walk every once in a while. I mean, sure, that connects to the exercise thing, but take a walk. Maybe if you live in a city, just go see if you can find places you've never heard of before, and just maybe see, oh, hey, this is a really cool place I've never heard of. Oh, it's because I got out. Right. But looping back to friends, like, I personally am really not, I'm really awkward when it comes to, like, asking people to hang out. So I usually never hang out with people. And so something you can do then is just say to them, hey, I was wondering if you had time sometime soon and wanted to spend some time together. I really need to do that, and it is why I'm so lonely. But anyways,
you're online all the time playing Minecraft with your friends.
But I don't hang out
It's a
physically.
it's a small circle of friends.
I really should hang out with people like in person.
Doing things like also maybe joining a book club,
That too.
joining a knitting circle, doing something like, if there's a maker thingy.
A maker fair.
Not a maker fair, but like a maker, if you're into
Space.
Makerspace. Check out Makerspace. Check out just different things you're interested in.
And I mean, if you're a teenager, find stuff at school. Like there's a music club at my school, a newspaper club. I've joined none of them. I meant to.
You did last year.
Well, I was part of the yearbook committee last year.
Yeah.
It was not too great, but that's besides the point. So definitely find things to do. I mean, it means you're at home less, so you have less time to sit alone
And brood.
and face the existential dread that so that your mind will always succumb to as you sit alone in your room staring at the ceiling.
And socializing, it may be more is more difficult when you have depression.
Oh, very much so.
Really important.
And anxiety, especially. Right. I have some.
Yeah.
It's like my social anxiety is fluctuating. Sometimes it's like really bad and I don't want to be around anybody, and sometimes it's like interact.
But it's still it's at least for depression, the socializing is very important. It really
very much so.
Yeah, it really is.
Being out there is incredibly important.
It's tough, but it's
it's absolutely impossible sometimes for me, especially.
But again, you can do it in little
I have
steps.
some serious trouble.
Especially if you have social anxiety, just start by going out to a coffee shop. Go to a bookstore.
You'll strike up conversation with the barista.
Or you may not. It's just being around other people. You have to make sure you don't kind of get into that social anxiety where your world starts shrinking. Same thing with depression, where your world just starts shrinking to where it's like just work or school and home. And
like one or two friends.
Maybe, yeah. So it's really important to make sure that your world, you don't allow your world to shrink, and that you
I'm sorry.
You leave the opportunity for socializing, or you create more opportunities for potential socializing. No one says you have to do it. But again, doing some of those low-key things are much better than saying, I'm going to go out to a bar with my friends. Which is, unless that's totally your thing. But if it's not,
if it is your thing, do it.
Great. But the thing is that there are plenty of low-key things you can do that you can, just being around other people if you have depression is good for you. Not necessarily even interacting with them. That's why we're saying a bookstore or a coffee shop or something. Just take a book and
bookstore.
We did say, I meant coffee shop. No, I did say bookstore. Library, bookstore, coffee shop, museum, art gallery, just things
like a comic store.
You don't necessarily have to interact.
I met a cool guy at game store once.
That's the thing, is you're around other people, and there might be opportunities there to interact.
Go to an arcade if any in your area still exists.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable, the kind of environment you're comfortable in.
Do whatever you can.
What you're comfortable with. An environment you're comfortable in.
I thought being comfortable was implied with whatever you can do.
Well, but you still could be trying to do something that you're not necessarily comfortable in.
Whatever you can.
Yeah.
Whatever your limitations allow you to.
Right.
And maybe if you are okay with it, try to push a little bit beyond your boundaries slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And excuse me. But
on the other hand, during the winter, like now, you might want to make sure you're not around people with the flu.
True. But anyways, to wrap things up, we really hope you enjoyed this video, and we hope that you found it helpful or hopefully entertaining in the slightest.
Informative.
Something like that. And if you, enjoyed it, you can leave a like. If you wanted to give any feedback, or literally say
Ask a
anything.
question or
You can leave it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this content and you'd like to see more of it, you can subscribe. We upload every Tuesday. So anyways, we hope that you have a nice day. See ya.
take care.